Hi guys, so today's video I am going to talk about an interview that Tara Palmieri did with Lindy Li. Lindy Li, you know who she is? She is the Democrat turns MAGA grifter who abandoned the Democratic Party after Kamala lost. She was a surrogate for Kamala's campaign, a fundraiser for the Democratic Party. And she jumped into the MAGA bandwagon when Kamala lost. And now she claims she's always been a conservative. It's not new. And she had this interview with Tara Palmieri where Tara calmly, respectfully dismantled Lindy Li. Tara ended her career. It's over. Lindy Li is over. Tara Palmieri ended her. This is a must-watch interview. You can go to Tara Palmieri to watch the whole interview because it's really good, really interesting. It's something to see Lindsay getting out of her lies. She claims that she's Biden's she became close friends with Kamala in her campaign, close friend with Biden, but she has nothing to show for that claim. So without further ado, people, why don't we jump right into this, as far as I'm concerned, a masterful interview, because we can see Lindsay getting uncomfortable. Let's watch this.
The thing that Lindy says makes her book different than the others is that she had firsthand unprecedented access to Harris and Biden. So I had to sort of sniff that out. I called some of my sources in Biden world and on the campaign to ask them about Lindy and her level of access as a fundraiser and an unpaid surrogate. A surrogate is someone who speaks for the campaign but isn't paid to do so, like a spokesperson. You know, they go on TV and they talk a lot. And sometimes they book themselves, not necessarily the campaign. But I had just never heard of her. I'd seen her from time to time on TV, but I didn't know that she was someone that the inner circle turned to. And remember, these people were super insular, especially the Biden world. So insular that he didn't even speak to members of his own cabinet, like Janet Yellen. Just listen to that interview I did with Rahm Emanuel. He said that he barely saw Joe Biden. You can watch that on YouTube at Tara Palmieri. You can see all of these interviews that I've done on this very subject. So if I'm going to have Lindy on the show, I got to make sure she can back it up, especially because she was bringing the heat. Lindy, thank you for your time. I know you have a new book coming out. What is the title of the book?
It's Unburdened. I think
Unburdened.
It's Unburdened, yeah.
And who's publishing it?
I am right now negotiating with several publishers about how to move forward, because it's much more complicated than a book. It's also going to be paired with a movie and a docuseries, so it's become this extravaganza that I didn't even intend. Someone told me the other day, actually one of the producers who's vying for the book told me that this story is bigger than Watergate, and I never thought of it that way. The story being Biden's cover-up, the conspiracy. I never thought about it that way because it was just my life and I was living it. But now that I consider it, yeah, this was a years-long conspiracy and everybody's involved. And there are things that...
People, this woman is delusional. She's comparing her alleging, saying that there was that massive cover-up, and she's comparing that to Watergate. People, is she okay? Now we know why she left the Democratic Party. It was never about, I'm a conservative. No, it's about being, she just doesn't want to stay irrelevant, because after Kamala lost, she would have been irrelevant if she didn't, do this turnaround and suddenly became a jump in the MAGA bandwagon, pretending that she was always a conservative. She's a MAGA, whatever. And I want to know who are these publishers. Who is going to give her this movie deal, series deal in Hollywood with that story, with the non-burger story, Lindy? It's a non-burger story, Lindy. Stop being delusional.
Haven't been discussed in the public arena, like just pure deception and manipulation of donors.
But that's why you know that your credibility is going to be so important for this story. And that's why this conversion that you've made from Democrat to Republican is going to be, it's going to call into question.
I'm actually not registered as a Republican. I'm a conservative. I feel more comfortable being described as a conservative.
But you went from being like Kamala Harris campaign, she loses conservative. So, people are going to look at this. They're going to see the whole body of your story, of your work, and they're going to
I welcome them to, because 5 years ago I did the same thing. I went to war with a leftist. So this is not a conversion, so to speak, as more of a revelation, as like liberation, emancipation. I can finally be who I am. 5 years ago, I tried to do the same thing. I tried to get the party to moderate, and then AOC shamed me and made my name trend on X for hinting that I would prefer Trump over Bernie Sanders. Like, this is not new for me. This is just who I've been. And
it happened after November 5th, crucially. So,
AOC?
No, your change, your switch.
What I'm saying is that I've had conservative leanings for a very long time, and that was demonstrated most visibly in 2020 when I basically came out.
And now it's become even more visible in 2024, 2025.
Okay, sorry,
I'm asking you why you became more conservative after Kamala Harris lost the campaign.
I've just been conservative. Oh, you're asking why I became more conservative?
Well, you were working for the campaign for arguably very.
By the way, I wasn't working for the campaign. I never got paid for anything.
You were
not a staffer, or I'm not a campaign staffer. Let's be
okay. So you were a surrogate. So you were doing free work for them, and I
was also on their national. I was one of their biggest fundraisers too. I raised millions for them.
You were an ally of the campaign. You would call yourself. How would you describe yourself?
I served in many capacities. I was in leadership roles, so I wore many hats. But I was on their national finance committee, so I raised millions for them. But I wasn't paid for anything.
Right. But after the campaign, after the
campaign, nobody paid me. No one has paid me
fair. After the campaign, now you're conservative, but during the campaign, you were not.
I was still conservative.
You were conservative. But
I can point you to a Fox News article wherein I describe myself as a Democrat, as a conservative Democrat. I've been describing myself that. That was in June 2024.
Then why did you support Kamala Harris? Because she's not a conservative Democrat.
I didn't want to support Kamala Harris. We were handed Kamala Harris.
But you kept.
Really? You were handed Kamala Harris, so you still couldn't leave? Because given that you are a conservative Democrat and Kamala is I would say, moderate Democrat, so why didn't you leave the Democratic Party then before the election? Say, okay, now that's it. Joe Biden is no longer running. I don't want to support someone that is moderate or liberal. I just want to be given that I'm a conservative Democrat. I don't want to support her. I am leaving the Democratic Party. I am heading towards Trump. I am becoming a MAGA then. But you waited until Kamala lost to self-proclaim conservative Democrat. Okay.
You stayed with them and you continued to be
because I was a Democrat. I didn't, Tara. I'm not going to justify every single bullet point of my life. I've been on a trajectory towards the right for years now. I mean, we can go. You may or may not believe me. You seem to take a dim view of what I'm saying anyway. But it is the truth.
It's just a convenient time to become a conservative. I do want to talk about your role. Okay, so we said surrogate, which means basically, for everyone who's not aware of that, it means you go on television and you promote the campaign and what it's doing, or you go on podcasts, etc. You were also a fundraiser. You said that you raised $37 million.
That was a placeholder number.
Oh, how much did you actually raise?
That was a draft of the book that I told your producer not to share.
Oh no, I found that online actually.
No, really? Then I was at 37.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say it again. How much money did you? You were a fundraiser and you were a surrogate. A surrogate, for everyone who is just listening, is someone who goes on TV and supports and promotes the candidate, the party, or on podcasts, etc., radio. But fundraiser. How much money did you actually raise for Harris and the Biden campaign?
Millions, and I didn't just raise for the campaign. I raised for the super PACs too, and not just for 2024, also for 2020.
Did you have any access to the candidates? Because a lot of people raise money, but they don't necessarily have access to the candidate.
Yeah, I did. And I have anecdotes of my access and what was said and all of that. I introduced Biden to the people that I care most. Like, I was able to bring my entire family and give them access as well.
Which is something that often fundraisers do. They get invited to the White House as like a thank you to events. Was this outside of that? Outside of an event that was a thank you to fundraisers?
I'm sorry. What do you mean?
Like,
I got invited many different times at the White House. So which one?
Because when they do this often, where they invite fundraisers to.
You mean Jeff Katzenberg's
parties?
It's about to get really, really interesting, given that she said she had wide range access to the White House. Really? So now Tara is nailing her with questions about your access to the White House, and watch how nervous, uncomfortable she's getting.
Easter egg rolls, that kind of stuff.
Are you talking about Jeff Katzenberg's tours?
No, I'm talking. Well, obviously he had unprecedented access. As
Yeah,
well,
and what he did was also just like really bad.
I'm just wondering if you got invited outside of events where they open up the White House to their supporters, fundraisers, donors.
I mean, probably. Like there were certain times where we were pulled aside, and I was able to meet my dad, and my brother was able to meet President Biden, if that's what you mean, like a pull aside, a clutch or something. Is that what
Well, no, I was just wondering if they were like, Lindy, you're invited to the White House, like, because you wrote in your book that Biden became a personal friend as a result.
Yeah, I was like, I've been to the White House during his term more times than I can count, and I brought on several occasions brought my mom, or I bring somebody else, and each time he would take time to meet with my family.
Like not in a group setting, like with other fundraisers?
Not in a group setting, no.
Because you also wrote that he, quote, gave me free reign of the White House. Like, what does that mean, having free reign of the White House?
You could go to places that were usually cordoned off.
Like
Like
where?
when you go there on a tour,
And
it's
that's where,
usually
yeah.
roped off. Or, like Christmas parties, it's like, areas are you just not allowed there. But
Like what parts?
I wasn't in the residence. I don't know the specific the names of the parts. I don't know what you're trying to get at.
No, I'm just curious because I thought in the book you also wrote that that you could.
Right.
take calls
I
from
asked
the
your
Lincoln bedroom.
producer not to share
I know, but like, why are you being sensitive about a book that you're putting out?
because it's in draft form right now. It's not even done. So you're sharing a form that's like really.
Why she's being sensitive, Tara? Well, let's see. Because some of the stuff she's saying is not true. That's why. You can easily see when someone is telling the truth or when they are inventing stuff. That is what's going on here. I'm not saying she hasn't met Biden, but she probably met Biden. I believe she did. As Tara said, she met him in a group setting, staffers, surrogates, together. They would do party, invite them. So yeah, probably she had a photo. She brought her parents. They, Joe Biden talked to them. But it's not like Joe Biden said, hey, let's invite Lindy. Let's have dinner with Lindy and her parents. That is not what happened. She's making more of the story.
And I specifically, he promised me that you wouldn't be sharing this rough draft with. It's not ready to be published, and you're sharing a draft that's not done.
But if it's like a fact, it's a fact. Like if you wrote it, you were probably going to publish it, right? Like that's
No, not necessarily. I didn't.
Why wouldn't you share that? Like why would you write that and not publish it?
Because I'm working with somebody else on writing that book, and I know what you're referring to, and I didn't write that line.
It was on a PDF that looked very like pitch book style. Like it's gonna, if you're coming out with a lot of really big claims,
Tara,
which I don't doubt.
I'm working with a ghostwriter. That was his first draft.
Now there's
I
a
did not write that
ghostwriter.
line.
Okay.
He just made that up.
No, he didn't make that up. Tara, that is just not a version. And again, your producer said he
Oh,
wouldn't share it. It's in draft form. It's not. My book isn't out yet. It's not even available for pre-orders. Okay, it's not ready for public consumption. We're still writing the book.
It's interesting to me because I don't usually write things down, like
I didn't write it.
share things that would be pitched or written or sent around.
It's not. It's in draft form. It's not even. We're writing the book.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you too.
That says
so
everything.
Are you just here to ambush
Yeah.
me? Like what is?
I'm
going
not
on
here to
right
ambush
now?
you. Lindy, if you're going to have a book that comes out firsthand claiming to expose the party and and Biden, which you are fair to do so. Listen, there are a ton of books out there, but you're saying that yours is different. You have firsthand access. You've made this rapid conversion from being
Again, I dispute that. It wasn't rapid. I've been a conservative Democrat for years.
you went from being on the campaign to then calling the DNC a cult. Like you gotta have to explain to people
Yeah.
why they should trust you and your book. It's really
I've explained again and again in every interview. It was so hard to leave because it is a cult.
Yeah, people. So if Lindy is going in every interview saying that She knows where all the bodies are buried. She knows where all the skeletons are hiding. This was a huge cover up. She thinks she's in a movie and she's the main actress of the movie. So she is inventing, making stuff up to sell her book, to have a movie deal. This is all she's after. And to say that the Democratic Party is a cult, and then you jump from the Democratic Party to MAGA, which one is more of a cult? The Democratic Party or MAGA? I think anyone with common sense would say MAGA is a cult, not the Democratic Party. What are you talking about, Lindy? Lindsay strikes me as a casual opportunist. She's just looking for opportunity to go where the grass is greener. That's it. Now, all of this, making this more than it is just to sell her book. That's it. That's all. She already figured everything out. The night Kamala lost, how she's going to become MAGA, how she's going to sell a book, how she's going to go after a movie deal or series deal, because she didn't want to stay irrelevant. Period. Lindy Li. Anywho, Tara did an amazing job. As I said, you can go watch the whole interview on her channel at Tara Palmieri. It's a must watch. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, ciao ciao.